Hey guys, happy Sunday to everybody. I am back and I've got Monroe. I decided I wanted to come on and share my method of how I powder her. I don't do it like really at all, but I've had several people ask what's the best silicone powder. Can you use baby powder? Can you use this? Can you use that? And yes, I have talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again because I've gotten this question over and over and over and over and over again. And so I'm just going to go ahead and share the powder brand that I actually use. And I'm going to change her and put her into my most favorite loved baby sleeper. It's this beautiful pale pink, and it is one of my favorites on her. So I figured I'd go ahead and do that today because I was going to change her out of this anyways. So kill two birds with one stone. And while we do that, I'm going to chat with you guys about the trials and tribulations of getting older, which many of you can completely understand. It's not fun aging. And for those of you that don't know how old I am or have ever, it's not something I talk about, honestly. But I am approaching 50 in the next couple of years. And so that number is a big number for anybody. And especially after going through this pandemic, we're still in it kind of. We are definitely still in it. There's no doubt about that. But going through like the formal lockdown where, you were really stuck at home, I feel like it was time for me to really evaluate my health. And during our quarantine, I had, a couple of health issues or potential issues, I guess you could say, or I thought were issues that popped up, and had to deal with them. And it was just like, the realization hit that I'm like, I'm getting up there in age, and my body doesn't recover like it used to. It used to bounce back from things a lot easier and quicker. As a lot of you are out there probably screaming at the video going, duh, yeah, it's because you're getting older. And my friends are always telling me, that honestly, getting older sucks, to put it bluntly. Things pop up. Every day you could wake up with, as one of my dear friends says, a new barnacle on your body. And that's the realization. Like, I'm also finding that, the workouts that I used to be able to do quite easily are becoming a little bit more challenging for me. That is the biggest thing that I'm finding that I struggle with the most, because I work out a lot. I work out every day. And for me, I'm finding that I have slight injuries that I don't recover from, like straining, not necessarily an injury, but strains to like my muscles and joints and just body parts that you wake up and you're like, why am I suddenly having, an issue? And it's aging. It's simply aging, and it's definitely a struggle for a lot of every human being, right? Some of us just have more issues than others. And I'm just finding that it's a struggle, guys. It's a struggle. And I feel it more and more every day, and it just is difficult. I'm not my young self that I used to be, even though in my brain I am. I'm 47 years young in my brain, right? But, my body is saying, whoa, hold on now. Slow it down a little bit. And I just have to go with it. So I have to modify my workouts a little bit to kind of be able to continue the workouts. I do a lot of cardio. I've not stopped doing that, but the workout I have to really alter is my bar workout. And if those of you out there watching going, what are you talking about? I've never heard of it. A bar workout, it's not spelled B-A-R, it's spelled B-A-R-R-E, and it is basically using the ballet bar
and mixing it with Pilates, so ballet movements, very small minor movements, combined with Pilates, like on steroids, is what the best description I could possibly give. It keeps you lean, it keeps you strong, it's a lot of core work. And I used to be able to breeze through them. They're always very hard, but I didn't have the recovery rate that I have now, even just 2 years ago. And I'm finding that I have neck issues due to doing a lot of yoga, headstands mainly, that have weakened my neck, sitting at a desk. It's a combination. It's like a perfect storm combination of several things that have led to like an ongoing like straining of my neck. So anything using your core, hello, you're using your neck. Any exercise is using your neck like that. So it's just really kind of, the realization is there for me, and it's kind of like, grr, because it frustrates me because I like to do my workouts and I want to stay strong and I want to stay muscular. And it's getting harder, guys. Struggle is real. So yeah, that's what I've been dealing with lately. That's I figured I'd share it because I know that all of you out there are going through the same thing. It's just, and it's harder. It's also harder being a female because we have a lot of like hormonal things that play into how our body responds. It also affects our muscle mass, our strength, our bone density, all of the things that men generally don't deal with because of like approaching like menopause. And I feel like every day I get closer to that point. And it's kind of like, it's a lot. So before I get too off on a tangent, I'm gonna put a mask on. I always wear a mask using, when I powder any doll. I haven't had to do this in a while, so this is always in my drawer with all of this stuff. Just because it's not good to breathe in any fine particles of any sort. Now, Claire Taylor has stated that her dolls don't technically need to be powdered. It certainly won't hurt them. So for this video's purpose of sharing how I powder my babies, I'm going to go ahead and powder her with, it's a silicone finishing powder, and it's sold by siliconeartmaterials.com. But I actually got this on Jenny Lee's website through her store, and that's Wee Baby Nurseries. Wee Baby's Nursery. Said that wrong. And I highly recommend this. I've tried several others. I even purchased Claire's powder, and I still like this one better. And I would highly recommend checking that out. I know that there are several brands that you can now buy for the, early on. And I apologize for the noise in the background. My other half just walked in, and I'm in the living room, which we have like open concept flooring. So he's in the kitchen washing his hands, being a good little hand washer. But anyways, there are a lot of brands. And when I was first searching for powders, proper powders in which to, powder a silicone doll with, I learned very early on that the Johnson & Johnson powders, the baby powders that say that they're pure cornstarch, is what most people were using. Except it's a bit of false advertising because it wasn't pure cornstarch at all. Because they had aloe with scents, and so you can't label something pure cornstarch when it was not. So I feel like Johnson & Johnson's has some false advertising going on there. Because if you actually look at the back of the bottle of the powder, it has multiple ingredients that are not just cornstarch. So what I actually did early on is I purchased, because this was, after talking to several artists, they recommend this, is, just buying pure cornstarch from the grocery store that you would use for a thickening agent, for like gravies and things like that. Pure cornstarch before these were available early on in the silicone early days. That's what I used. That way I was only putting pure cornstarch, and it actually worked really, really well for a very long time. And then I noticed artists were coming out with their own powders that were specifically made for silicone dolls. And so therefore I do highly recommend. They're not cheap. But they are meant to be put on a silicone doll. So that, I think it's worth the investment. You can get small trial containers. I know that Jenny Lee actually offers a really tiny, I still have it. It's empty. I don't have anything in it because I've used it. But geez, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago now, that's when I purchased that. And it took me a long time to go through it because a little goes a long way. But ultimately, I highly recommend spending the money on the expensive silicone powders. That's what they use for, that's what artists use for matting. It's what they use to touch up any areas that have shiny spots. So this is my favorite so far. I know that there are many other great brands out there. I have not tried them all. But I've kind of, because I have such a large container of it, I'm not going to buy more. I already bought Claire's and I have that on hand. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to put my mask on because I want to protect my lungs. So if I sound funny, it's because I'm talking through a mask now. What I do is it's a kabuki brush. This is one I've had for a really long time. It's from Precision Beauty. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. It just says kabuki powder brush. It's just very soft. Oh, you can even see that's why you wear a mask. If you saw the puff of powder, because this is a really fine brush and it doesn't lose bristles. The key of a good kabuki brush is one that does not lose its bristles. I've had this for years and I keep, and it comes in this. So I keep it in this little pouch. So what I do, rather than tap it into the cap, which I've seen a lot of people do, is they'll dump the powder into the cap. I don't like to do that. I actually use an old, it's not an old, but it's just a cloth diaper, old style. And you'll see there's just a little bit in there because it has little holes and you can kind of shake it and turn it upside down and it'll fill it more. So what I do is I actually put some of that on. You can see it's in the cap as well. But I actually will put some on the diaper and I keep it covered because if you bump this and you spill it, it's in the air, it's not good to breathe. These are very fine particles and that's what you want. You don't want to douse your doll with powder. It's just, it's not necessary. It also gives them like a sheen or like a layer of, it changes how their skin looks, their silicone looks, and the coloring and their paint. So you want less is more, and always dab. I've seen a lot of people that make videos on powdering, and I see them constantly rubbing. And I used to see, and I thank God I don't see it anymore, is people would put powder in their hands, rub their hands, and then rub it on the doll. Don't do that. I know, and I'm very strongly opinionated about it because when you're rubbing anything that's granulated, even if it's a very fine powder, you are rubbing the paint, you're rubbing the matting, and you're potentially rubbing it off. You don't want to do that. You want to dab. That's why having a soft brush, it's not going to damage the paint because it just kind of lightly just coats the silicone. You want to get all of the nooks and crannies. And because it's so soft, like I'll do this and it goes in between her fingers. It goes into all the places that she needs to be lightly powdered. And you should not see a thick layer of powder. When you're powdering your doll, unless it's got severe shiny parts on it, light. Very little goes a long way. I cannot state that enough. When you over powder the doll, it doesn't stay on the doll. It gets all over the clothing. And it just makes the doll look funny. Like it makes the doll look like they're, chalky. And we don't want to do that. We just want to lightly put a layer of protection on them so that they have a little barrier, especially if you have a couple of shiny spots on your doll, which when I went through her little thumb had a little tiny shiny spot and now I can't see it. But that's why you get the nooks and crannies in between the fingers and toes and all of that. I'm not going to undiaper her so that I don't get flagged. But normally if I was going to powder her, I would, of course, I would go under the diaper area. But for the video's purpose, we're just going to keep it on the parts outside of the diaper. You want to make sure you're getting behind the legs, behind the knees, and in between the toes, all of the little places that may need to have a little bit of powdering. That's all. You know, you'll see that I used very little powder, and it's on her because I can feel it. I know that it's going on her. And then I will also roll her over, and you can see her hair is very messy right now. I'm gonna have to get the brush out or pat it down carefully. But you wanna make sure you get their back, all the places that, you know, need to be powdered lightly. But like I said, you're not gonna see like a thick layer. You shouldn't see a thick layer. I never powder her face. I don't think there's a need to powder her face. She doesn't have any shiny spots. So I don't typically powder her face, because it doesn't need it. And you know, if you see spots that you want to put more on, that see more wear and tear, you know, more handling, like their hands, you know, the idea is just lightly powdered. It really is a little, goes a long way. And there, that's it. That's all you need to do. And away it goes. So that's how I powder her. That's all I need to do. This is how I've always powdered my dolls over the years, because that's how the artist always told me I should be doing it. So voila, a powdered little Monroe. And I'm gonna leave my mask on and continue talking with it, because even though there's not a ton of it in the air, and look, that's the first time I've seen it lose a bristle, but it's an older brush, so interesting. But there's no bristles on her. I've seen people powder their dolls and get so frustrated because they're trying out a new brush, and the brush ends up with like losing bristles and sticking to the doll, which is always like the most frustrating thing ever. It took me a bit to find the right kabuki brush. It wasn't even expensive. I thought I'd have to spend like a small fortune on it to get it to not, you know, lose bristles, but I managed to find that one, I think at TJ Maxx years ago. I think I had my Romy baby Abigail at the time. I think that's when I finally found the perfect kabuki brush. And I use them for my own makeup and stuff like that. So I've gotten pretty familiar with good brushes now that don't lose bristles, but man, a lot of them do. It's so annoying. And so I'm not putting her monitor on her because I'm just gonna give her little foot a break of having anything on it. But I had yet another person on another video that I didn't share and put the disclaimer that there's nothing wrong with her foot. It is just an Owlet baby monitor. It is used for props purposes only. So I had to respond yet again. I think people think that I'm like repairing her foot or something. I don't know. It's kind of funny though, because I get that question all the time when they see anything on her foot like that. Just a fun prop, guys, just a fun prop, but I'm not going to put it on her right now. I'm going to just leave it as is. And yeah, you're so cute. She's a very sweet baby. This baby just, in this lighting, I kind of love how she looks in this lighting, because she looks concerned, and it's in different lighting, she will look different, guys. Because of the way she's sculpted, she can look inquisitive, like she's just focusing on me, or she'll look like she's very concerned, about to cry. And in this lighting, she looks very concerned with her furrowed brow. It's just really sweet. It's one of the most endearing parts of this sculpt. I think that my friends and I would all agree that they look different at different angles. The expression kind of looks like it changes on their face. And it's really interesting to me, because I love that about the sculpt. And it makes it fun, because you catch a different angle and then you catch a look at them and you're like, oh, they look so sweet. Or if you're walking by or whatever, like if I'm sitting at my desk and she's in my office with me most of the time, I look over, and depending on where the stroller is in my room or the lighting and how it's hitting it, she has a different look on her face, and it's like the sweetest thing. It really, really is. And I love that about the sculpt. It's very, not all sculpts do that. I've had several dolls that do, and it takes a bit to kind of see all of the different angles and how a doll actually would look. I even said in one of my videos, that's why I check out all the different angles, and views of a new doll, because I want to see how they look in different lighting and what I prefer when I'm staring at them or posing them. It's the fun of getting to know your baby, I suppose. But she's a special baby, that's for sure. And I'm literally just kind of like chilling out. Not a lot going on in my world today, other than I got my cardio workout, my hour cardio workout, and then my bar workout in. So I feel good about that, which is why I brought up the aging, feeling old. Sorry, I think I just kicked you guys on the tripod. But, as everybody knows, aging happens to all of us. I just feel like women kind of get it a little more rough than men, though. I just do. We bear children. We have to deal with the hormones of that. And then as we get a little bit older, we have to go through menopause, which for some of us, it's an easy thing. And for others, it's not so much. I think it just depends on genetics of your family, I suppose. I don't know. So it's just one of those things I just felt like I wanted to share. And like I said, most of you don't know, I don't talk, it's not like we put our age out there. We don't talk about how old we are, but being real with you guys, I'm approaching 50. I'm 3 years away, 2.5 years away from 50. And that's an eye-opener. It's an awakening, let me tell you. Holy cow. Oh, she's so sweet, you guys. And this little sleeper is a little big on her. It's actually how I would expect and want like a newborn sleeper to be fitted, because of the fact that you would want them to be able to grow into it. So it's not ginormous, but it's funny. My friend Diana, who has Kane, who is Monroe's, you can call him a cousin or a brother. I would say brother. Same sculpt. And she ordered the same sleeper, but in baby blue. It's like a, God, what did they call it? I can't remember the word they called it. Oh, my apologies. And Rue found a squirrel. Hey. You're being very rude. So, and the funny thing is that Diana bought the same one in the blue color, and it was a lot bigger on Kane than it was on than this one on Monroe. Same size. And then someone had said to me that it's common that the boy colors, I quote unquote, because I would put that color blue because it's beautiful on Monroe. But they make them slightly larger, knowing that boys are larger. And I don't know if that's the case or if it was just a wonky sized sleeper, random. I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. But I've also come to figure out, after we've done some side-by-side comparisons and pictures of our babies, that Monroe looks chubbier. She seems chubbier to me. And Kane looks a lot longer and leaner. Not longer because they're the same length, but like they give the illusion of being longer because he looks thinner through the body. And it may have to do with the fact that he has the soft core gel tummy and she doesn't. And I've noticed that the other babies other than Monroe that have the soft core tummies, actually do look a little leaner, less chubby, round tummied. I don't know. I think it's hilarious though, because my real children were fat babies, so fat chubby girls with like healthy leg rolls, that sort of thing. But it's ironic to me how the same addition doll can be slightly different, even if it's poured from the same mold.
you know, it's just all very interesting because they all vary slightly, and even the way clothes fit them, they do fit them differently. And she definitely fills out the sleeper. So if we were to put the sleepers side by side or on top of one another, if they are truly the same size, then Monroe is just a fatter baby. And just fills it out more. And that very much could be the case. But yeah, now I'm rambling. But I just find it interesting because she's definitely a chubby little thing. But that's what I love about her. See, she looks very concerned. She's like, what are you calling me fat, mommy? No, I'm calling you healthy, Monroe. You're a healthy baby. But anyways, I'm going to cut myself off here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the silicone powdering. I hope you enjoyed my chat about getting older and how it's just, you know, not enjoyable sometimes. But anyways, guys, I hope you're having a great weekend. I also want to say a huge thanks for all of the support on my video yesterday. I was so... everything everybody has to say is definitely wonderful viewpoints on it. And I think it just kind of goes to show that we think of things differently depending on how we are in the hobby, I suppose. But I love hearing your feedback. I absolutely loved hearing everybody's differing opinions. Everybody's very respectful and very sweet about it. And I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And hopefully if you've even stuck around this long to hear that part, thank you always for the support and thanks for watching. And Monroe and I, we will see you very soon, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.